Retirement planning is like preparing for a vacation you might never take. Those aren't my words. They're from my former financial advisor, who shocked me when he admitted most of his clients reach retirement age with enough money, but not enough life left to enjoy it. This revelation sent me on a 3-year journey to discover what actually works in the modern economy. Today I'm sharing the complete system I've developed, including the 5-point diagnostic that measures your true independence potential, the semi-retirement roadmap that's helping people escape the 9 to 5 decades early, and the psychological shifts that are even more important than your savings rate. Meet Maddie, how a teacher retired at 47 without being rich. Ever wonder if someone like you could actually retire early? Meet Maddie, a public school teacher who walked away from her job at 47, and she's definitely not a millionaire. Her story might just change how you think about retirement forever. Maddie taught elementary school for 22 years while raising 2 kids as a single mom. Nothing about her financial situation screams early retirement candidate. She never made more than $58,000 a year. She didn't inherit a windfall. She didn't win the lottery. She was just a regular teacher with a modest salary trying to make ends meet. I remember looking at retirement calculators online and feeling completely hopeless, Maddie told me. According to every financial expert, I needed over $1.5 million to retire comfortably. At the rate I was saving, I'd be teaching until I was 70. But here's where things get interesting. Maddie quit teaching last year with less than a third of that required amount in her retirement accounts. That's right, she walked away from her career with around $450,000 saved. According to conventional wisdom, she should be headed for financial disaster. So what's her secret? It wasn't extreme frugality. Maddie still takes vacations and goes out to eat. It wasn't risky investments. Her portfolio is actually pretty conservative. Instead, she created what she calls her freedom system, a completely different approach to retirement that financial advisors rarely talk about. The breakthrough came when I stopped obsessing over hitting some magic number in my 401k, Maddie explains. Instead, I started asking a different question. How can I cover my essential expenses without trading my time for money? This shift in thinking changed everything. Rather than focusing solely on building a massive nest egg, Maddie started creating multiple streams of income that would continue whether she worked or not. Her first move was turning her basement into a rental apartment. It wasn't a massive renovation. She spent about $15,000 converting the space, adding a small kitchenette and separate entrance. That apartment now brings in $1,200 every month like clockwork. That single decision was a game changer, she says. Suddenly, my mortgage and property taxes were completely covered by my tenant. My biggest monthly expense just disappeared. But Maddie didn't stop there. Drawing on her teaching experience, she created an online course for new teachers about classroom management. It took me about 3 months of working evenings and weekends to build the course, and now it generates around $800 monthly with almost no ongoing work, she explains. I update it once a year, answer occasional emails, and that's it. Her third income stream came from dividend-paying stocks. Rather than chasing growth stocks that might increase in value, but pay nothing while you hold them, Maddie focused on companies with a history of paying steady dividends. Even though my investment portfolio isn't huge, it kicks out about $950 every month in dividends that get automatically reinvested. When you add these income streams together, $1, $200 from the rental, $800 from her online course, and $950 in dividends, Maddie created $2,950 in monthly passive income. That's not enough to fund a lavish lifestyle, but here's the key. It covers all her essential expenses. My basic monthly costs, food, utilities, insurance, property tax, healthcare, add up to about $2,800, Maddie says. Once I realized my passive income exceeded my essential expenses, I had my aha moment. I didn't need to keep teaching if I didn't want to. Now the $450,000 she has invested serves as her safety net and funds for discretionary spending. She doesn't need to touch the principal for her day-to-day living expenses. The traditional retirement model taught me that I needed to save enough so that I could withdraw 4% per year to replace my teaching salary, Maddie explains. But that approach has 2 huge problems. First, it requires an enormous nest egg that takes forever to build. Second, it assumes you need to replace your entire working income, which usually isn't true. Maddie discovered what financial independence experts have been saying for years. Your retirement number is much smaller when you 1. Focus on covering essential expenses rather than replacing your entire income, and 2. Build income-producing assets rather than just a pile of savings. I wish someone had told me in my 30s that creating income streams was more important than maximizing my 401k contributions, Maddie admits. Don't get me wrong, you should definitely contribute to retirement accounts, especially if there's an employer match. But the real freedom comes from building assets that generate monthly income. What's most impressive about Maddie's story is that she created these income streams while working full-time and raising kids. She didn't have special advantages or skills. She just consistently took small steps toward building her freedom system. I started with the basement apartment because it was the most straightforward way to generate significant income with a one-time investment, she explains. The online course came next because I was already an expert in something people would pay to learn. The dividend investing has been ongoing for years, just gradually allocating more of my portfolio toward income-generating assets. Maddie's approach flips traditional retirement planning on its head. Instead of the standard, save a huge amount and hope it lasts, she built a foundation of passive income first, then used her savings as a supplement. Is she still careful with money? Absolutely. Does she still work sometimes? Yes, but only on her terms. Maddie occasionally substitutes at her old school and does some online tutoring when she wants extra spending money. I probably work about 10 hours a week on average, but the key difference is that I don't need to, she says. The work is entirely optional, which completely changes how it feels. For those inspired by Maddie's story, she recommends starting with an honest assessment of your essential expenses, the true baseline cost of your life without any luxuries. Most people have no idea what this number actually is, she says. They assume they need to replace their entire salary, which makes retirement seem impossible. Once you know your essential expense number, you can work backward to figure out what income streams would cover that amount. For many people, it's a much more achievable target than accumulating millions. My colleagues think I'm lucky or that I must have figured out some amazing investment strategy, Maddie laughs. But there was no luck or genius involved, just a different approach to the retirement problem. Instead of asking, how much do I need to save? I asked, how can I build income that doesn't require my time? That question changed everything. Maddie's story highlights an approach that's gaining traction among financial independence seekers. Retirement isn't about age or hitting a specific number in your account. It's about creating systems that give you the freedom to choose how you spend your time. The most powerful part of this approach is that you don't have to wait decades to benefit. Each income stream you build immediately reduces your dependency on your job, even if you're not ready to quit yet. The retirement age myth that's costing you decades of freedom. Freedom doesn't have to wait until some magic age decreed by society. But here's the million-dollar question nobody's asking. Why do we all aim to retire at 65 anyway? The origin story behind this standard retirement age is so shocking it might completely change how you think about your financial timeline. Let's get real for a second. Most of us have our entire financial lives mapped out around hitting retirement at 65. We've got our 401k, our IRAs, and those little retirement calculators that all point to this magical number. But have you ever stopped to wonder where this number actually came from? Was it carefully calculated by financial experts, based on peak human health research, or designed with your happiness in mind? Spoiler alert, it's none of those things. The retirement age of 65 that millions of Americans aim for wasn't created for your benefit at all. This widely accepted benchmark actually dates back to the 1880s in Germany, when Chancellor Otto von Bismarck established the world's first pension system. Here's the kicker. When Bismarck set this age, the average life expectancy was just 45 years. The retirement system wasn't designed as a reward for a lifetime of work. It was created at an age when most people would already be dead. Think about that for a second. The magic number that's dictating your entire financial timeline was essentially designed so most people wouldn't live long enough to collect benefits. It was a political promise that the government rarely had to keep. Yet somehow, over 140 years later, we're still using this completely arbitrary number as our target. And we're not just talking about some random historical fact here. This outdated benchmark is literally costing you years of your life. Years when you could be healthy, active, and truly enjoying your freedom. Modern research has uncovered something that should make all of us reconsider our retirement timelines. For every single year you delay retirement after age 65, you lose approximately 7% of your remaining healthy life years. Not your total years, your healthy years. The ones where you can actually enjoy retirement. Let's put that in perspective. If you retire at 70 instead of 65, you're potentially sacrificing 35% of your healthy retirement years. That's more than a third of your active retirement time, gone forever. Not because you wanted to keep working, but because you were following an arbitrary timeline created in the 19th century. The traditional retirement model that most financial advisors still push today follows a pretty simple formula. Work for 40+ years, save a decent percentage of your income, then stop working completely when you hit 65. It's a straightforward path that's been preached for generations. But here's the harsh reality. This model is becoming increasingly unrealistic for most Americans. The economic landscape has changed dramatically, but our retirement planning strategies haven't kept up. Take inflation, for example. A staggering 70% of current retirees report that rising costs of living have negatively impacted their savings. These aren't minor inconveniences. We're talking about real financial stress and a significant decline in overall financial well-being. What good is hitting that magic retirement age if inflation eats away your purchasing power? The Federal Reserve's own data backs this up. They've reported that financial well-being has declined, with 35% of surveyed individuals feeling worse off than the previous year. There's a growing disconnect between retirement expectations and reality. This gap exists because the old save 15% of your income for 40 years formula simply doesn't work like it used to. With inflation consistently outpacing wage growth and market volatility increasing, the traditional approach is leaving more and more people unprepared for retirement, even when they follow all the right steps. The problem isn't just economic, it's psychological too. We've been conditioned to view retirement as this binary switch that flips at 65. You're either working full-time or you're completely retired. But this all-or-nothing mentality keeps people trapped in jobs they hate for far longer than necessary. What's particularly absurd is how we've internalized this arbitrary age as if it were some natural law. We talk about early retirement or retiring late, always in relation to this magic number of 65. But who decided that was normal in the first place? A 19th century politician trying to win votes from people who statistically wouldn't live long enough to collect. The concept of retirement itself is evolving, especially among younger generations. Many millennials now view financial independence as a much more significant indicator of retirement than simply reaching the age of 65. They're recognizing that freedom doesn't have to wait until some government-approved age. Financial experts now argue that the traditional retirement model is fundamentally outdated because it doesn't account for the complexities of modern financial realities. It doesn't consider the need for diversified income streams, like those we talked about earlier, or the psychological aspects of retirement planning. Let's think about what retirement actually means. Is it about reaching a certain age? Or is it about having the freedom to spend your time how you want? Because if it's the latter, then the whole concept of waiting until 65 makes absolutely no sense. What makes this myth so dangerous is that it's not just affecting our finances, it's literally stealing years of freedom from our lives. We're sacrificing our healthiest years working in jobs many of us don't even enjoy, all because we're aiming for an arbitrary age created in a completely different era. And it gets worse. The market volatility we've seen in recent decades means that even if you do everything right and save diligently for 40 years, there's no guarantee your nest egg will be enough when you hit that magic retirement age. Just ask anyone who was planning to retire in 2008 or 2020 how quickly retirement savings can take a hit. This is why the traditional retirement planning formula is becoming less and less effective. Many individuals find themselves unable to meet these benchmarks due to rising living costs and stagnant wages. The system was designed for an economic reality that simply doesn't exist anymore. So what's the alternative? Instead of organizing your entire financial life around hitting some arbitrary age decreed over a century ago, what if you designed your retirement timeline based on your actual needs and goals? This doesn't mean abandoning retirement planning altogether. It means rethinking what retirement actually means to you. Is it about never working again? Or is it about having the freedom to? Work on your own terms? For many people, creating that freedom might actually be possible much sooner than age 65. By building multiple income streams that don't require your active time, like we saw in our previous examples, you can create a gradual path to freedom instead of an all-or-nothing cliff at 65. The most liberating realization is that there's no retirement police checking your age when you decide to change how you live and work. You don't need anyone's permission to create a lifestyle that gives you more freedom decades before you hit some arbitrary age. Understanding this retirement age myth frees you to design a financial timeline that actually makes sense for your life. One that takes into account your health, your passions, and the economic realities of today, not the 1880s. So the next time someone asks when you're planning to retire, maybe the answer isn't an age at all. Maybe it's about when your passive income covers your essential expenses, or when you've built enough flexibility into your work life that you can take a month off whenever you want, or when you've reduced your expenses to the point where you only need to work a few hours a week. Because ultimately, retirement shouldn't be about hitting some magic number, whether that's an age or a savings amount. It should be about creating a life where work becomes optional, where your time belongs to you, and where you don't have to sacrifice your healthiest years waiting for some arbitrary finish line created in the 19th century. The 5-point financial independence diagnostic. That arbitrary retirement age is just one myth among many. Here's an eye-opener. For every $100 monthly expense you eliminate, you need approximately $30,000 less in retirement savings. Yet most people obsess over their investment returns while completely ignoring the 5 true indicators of financial freedom that we're about to break down. Traditional retirement planning has us fixated on the wrong things. We're constantly told to check our 401k balances or compare our savings against some magic number that supposedly equals enough. But here's what's fascinating. I've met people with million-dollar portfolios who feel completely trapped in jobs they hate, while others with modest savings live with remarkable freedom and fulfillment. What gives? The truth is we've been using the wrong measuring stick. Think about it. Most retirement calculators ask about your age and savings rate, then spit out some intimidating number like you need $2.3 million to retire. Talk about discouraging. But what if there was a different way to measure how close you really are to freedom? A diagnostic that actually predicts financial independence better than your birthday or bank balance ever could. Let me introduce you to the 5-point financial independence diagnostic, a completely different approach to measuring your retirement readiness. Point 1. Income diversification. Instead of focusing solely on your day job, this measures how many different income streams you have working for you. This is huge. Did you know the average millionaire has 7 different income sources? That's not a coincidence, it's a strategy. When your income comes from multiple sources, rental properties, dividends, side businesses, royalties, you create redundancy in your financial system. If one stream dries up, you're not devastated. This diversity provides stability that a single paycheck, no matter how large, simply can't match. Look at wealthy individuals. They rarely rely on just one income source. They might have investment properties, stock dividends, business interests, and more. Each stream might start small, but together they create a river of income that can eventually replace your paycheck. Point 2. Lifestyle optimization. Now, before you roll your eyes thinking this is just code for extreme frugality, it's absolutely not. Lifestyle optimization isn't about deprivation, it's about intentionality. It means eliminating expenses that don't bring you joy while maximizing those that do. Here's where the math gets mind-blowing. For every $100 monthly expense you permanently eliminate, you need approximately $30,000 less in retirement savings. Think about that. Cut a $500 monthly expense you don't even care about, and you've just reduced your retirement number by $150,000. This isn't about never eating out or enjoying life. It's about being honest about which expenses actually contribute to your happiness and which ones are just consumption habits you've fallen into. Maybe you love travel, but don't care about driving a new car. Great. Keep the travel budget and drive your reliable car for years longer. The freedom you gain will be worth far more than that new car smell. Point 3. Skill-based flexibility. This measures your ability to generate income without being tied to a traditional job. Having marketable skills that can produce income without requiring full-time work creates incredible security and flexibility. Think about skills like copywriting, graphic design, consulting, teaching, coaching, or technical specialties. Can you package your expertise in a way that lets you work on your terms? This creates what I call skill insurance. Protection against market downturns and career setbacks that no 401k can provide. When you can confidently say, I could make $2,000 this month if I needed to, without having to take a full-time job, you've built real freedom into your life. This skill flexibility is especially crucial during the semi-retirement phase, where part-time income can let your investments grow untouched for years longer. Point 4. Mental wealth assessment. This might be the most overlooked factor in retirement planning. Yet studies consistently show that psychological readiness for retirement significantly impacts satisfaction and success, often more than financial metrics. Mental wealth includes your adaptability, resilience, and relationship with money and work. Do you define your worth by your job title or income? Do you know what gives you purpose beyond work? Can you adapt your spending and lifestyle if circumstances change? People with high mental wealth scores tend to thrive in retirement regardless of their financial situation, while those with low scores often struggle even with substantial savings. Building mental wealth means developing interests outside work, practicing adaptability, and examining your beliefs about money and success. Point 5. Financial independence ratio. This is where we get tactical, measuring the percentage of your essential expenses covered by passive income. While traditional retirement planning focuses on replacing your entire income, this ratio takes a more nuanced approach. Calculate your core monthly expenses: housing, food, utilities, healthcare, transport. Then divide your monthly passive income by that number. The result is your financial independence ratio. When this hits 100%, congratulations, work becomes optional. You've achieved what I call basic financial freedom. For example, if your essential expenses are $3,000 monthly and your passive income streams generate $1,500, your ratio is 50%. You're halfway to basic financial freedom, regardless of your age or account balances. What makes this ratio powerful is that you can improve it from both directions, by increasing passive income and by optimizing expenses. Small improvements on both ends create compound effects that can dramatically accelerate your timeline to freedom. Now, let's talk about how these 5 points work together to create a comprehensive picture of your financial health in a way that traditional retirement metrics simply can't. When we view retirement readiness through this 5-point lens, interesting patterns emerge. Someone with a modest portfolio but high scores in all 5 areas might actually be more retired than someone with twice their savings but poor scores in skill flexibility and mental wealth. This diagnostic also reveals personalized strategies based on your specific profile. Scoring low on income diversification? Maybe your next move isn't maximizing your 401k contribution, but instead creating your first additional income stream, no matter how small. Low on the mental wealth assessment? Perhaps exploring purpose beyond work and practicing financial adaptability will do more for your retirement readiness than increasing your savings rate by another percentage point. What makes this system so powerful is that it focuses on building resilience and optionality into your financial life, rather than just reaching a target number. It recognizes that true financial independence comes from multiple reinforcing factors working together, not just the size of your investment portfolio. And here's where it gets really interesting. Each element of this diagnostic represents a form of wealth that can't be easily taken away. Market crashes might impact your portfolio, but they can't take away your skills, your diversified income streams, or your ability to find purpose and meaning. The 5-point diagnostic also acknowledges something that traditional retirement planning ignores: that financial independence exists on a spectrum. Each improvement in your score represents real, tangible freedom gained, rather than perpetuating the binary, either you're retired or you're not mindset that keeps so many people feeling stuck. So what does a high score across all 5 areas actually look like in real life? It's waking up each day knowing your basic needs are secure regardless of whether you choose to work. It's having the flexibility to adapt to changing circumstances without financial panic. It's systems thinking, why your retirement plan keeps failing. Now that you understand what financial freedom actually looks like, let's talk about why your retirement plan might be doomed from the start. Ever notice how some people seem to make massive progress toward financial independence while others stay stuck for decades? The difference isn't discipline or income. It's an entirely different approach to thinking about the problem. Here's what most people do. They pick a retirement age, usually 65, calculate how much money they'll need, often millions, and try to save enough to hit that magic number. It's a straight line from point A to point B. Save X amount over Y years to reach Z dollars. But this linear approach is exactly why so many retirement plans fail miserably. Think about it. When was the last time anything important in your life followed a perfectly straight path? Relationships don't. Careers don't. Why would we expect our financial lives to be any different? The problem with traditional retirement planning is that it treats financial independence like a math equation with just one solution. Save 15% for 40 years, and boom, you're done. But real life is messy, interconnected, and full of surprises that these linear models completely miss. This is where systems thinking comes in, and it's revolutionizing how smart people approach retirement planning. Instead of seeing your finances as a straight line, systems thinking views your financial life as an interconnected web where each part influences every other part. When you make an improvement in one area of your financial life, it doesn't just affect that single area. It creates ripple effects throughout your entire financial ecosystem. These connections are what traditional retirement planning completely misses. Let's look at a practical example. Remember when Maddie converted her basement into a rental apartment? If you were thinking linearly, you'd simply add that $1,200 monthly income to her cash flow and call it a day. But systems thinking reveals so much more. That basement conversion didn't just create income. It reduced her housing expenses by sharing utility costs. It created valuable tax deductions she didn't have before. It added an appreciating asset to her net worth. And perhaps most importantly, it lowered her required retirement savings because she now needed less money to cover her essential expenses. One move created at least 5 different benefits that all reinforced each other. That's the power of systems thinking in action. This interconnected approach explains why traditional retirement calculators so often lead people astray. These calculators are designed for the old linear model of work, save, retire. They ask how much you save, what return you expect, and when you want to retire. Then spit out a number that's supposed to be your retirement goal. But these calculators can't account for how creating a side business might simultaneously increase your income, build valuable skills, expand your network, and reduce your dependence on your investment portfolio. They can't show how moving to a lower-cost area might both reduce your expenses and open up new opportunities for income and lifestyle improvements. One of the most powerful aspects of systems thinking is how it reveals the compounding effect of small improvements across multiple areas. Research shows that a 1% improvement in your savings rate, passive income generation, and expense reduction doesn't just add up to a 3% total improvement. It actually creates a compounding effect that results in more than 3% total improvement in your financial health. This is because these improvements don't just exist in isolation. They reinforce each other, creating an upward spiral toward financial independence. Think about what happens when you reduce your monthly expenses by just $100. Not only do you have $100 more to save or invest each month, but you've also permanently reduced the amount you need to save for retirement by approximately $30,000. That smaller retirement number means you can reach financial independence faster, which gives you more confidence to make other positive changes, which further accelerates your progress. This is why people who embrace systems thinking often make dramatically faster progress toward financial independence than those stuck in linear thinking. They're playing a completely different game. The key insight here is that financial independence isn't about reaching some arbitrary number in your investment accounts. It's about creating a self-reinforcing system where multiple elements work together to give you the freedom and security you want. When you view retirement planning through this system's lens, everything changes. Instead of obsessing over a distant, overwhelming goal that might take decades to achieve, you start focusing on creating small, interconnected improvements that build on each other. This shift in thinking is liberating. Rather than feeling like you're climbing an impossibly tall mountain, you're building a machine that generates freedom and security with increasing efficiency over time. Case studies of successful early retirees consistently show this pattern. They rarely attribute their success to a single factor like a high savings rate or amazing investment returns. Instead, they describe how they methodically built systems that generated increasing levels of freedom and security, usually starting small and expanding over time. For example, one early retiree I studied began by optimizing his spending to eliminate waste without reducing quality of life. The money saved went into dividend stocks, creating a small passive income stream. As this stream grew, he negotiated a 4-day workweek, using the extra day to develop a consulting business. The consulting income then funded real estate investments, which provided both appreciation and cash flow. Each step built upon the previous ones, creating an increasingly robust system that eventually allowed him to leave his corporate job years earlier than his peers who were following the traditional linear path. This system's approach also makes you much more adaptable to changing circumstances. When you're focused on a single retirement number, any major life change or economic shift can derail your entire plan. But when you've built a system with multiple interconnected elements, you have far more flexibility to adapt to whatever life throws your way. If the stock market crashes, your rental income might still be stable. If your side business faces challenges, your optimized expenses mean you need less to live on. This adaptability is crucial in today's rapidly changing economic environment. Most traditional retirement calculators are fundamentally flawed because they are designed for the old linear model of work, save, retire. They simply can't account for the dynamic, interconnected nature of a well-designed financial system. Perhaps the greatest benefit of systems thinking is how it transforms retirement planning from a distant, overwhelming goal to a series of interconnected, manageable improvements that build on each other. Each small win compounds over time, creating momentum that makes the next improvement easier and more impactful. The semi-retirement roadmap, a gradual escape plan. That momentum is exactly what powers the semi-retirement roadmap, a strategy that flips traditional retirement planning on its head. Why wait until 65 to enjoy freedom when you could start experiencing it in phases, beginning almost immediately? Most of us have been sold this all-or-nothing retirement fantasy. Work full-time for 40-plus years, then suddenly stop completely once you've saved enough. It's like running a marathon where you're not allowed to slow down, take a break, or even grab water until you cross the finish line. No wonder so many people feel trapped. But what if there was a different path? One where you could gradually dial back your work hours while simultaneously building passive income streams that eventually replace your paycheck? That's exactly what the semi-retirement roadmap offers. A phased approach to freedom that lets you start enjoying the benefits of retirement years or even decades before your peers. Let me break down how this works in 4 distinct phases, each one bringing you closer to complete financial independence while reducing the stress and burnout that comes with the traditional approach. Phase 1 starts while you're still working full-time. This is where you focus on creating your very first passive income stream. Don't worry about how small it seems at first. Remember that every major passive income portfolio started with a single stream. Maybe it's a digital product that generates $50 a month, or a small dividend portfolio paying $100 quarterly. The amount isn't what matters here. It's building the system and mindset that will eventually transform your financial life. During this phase, you'll want to funnel as much of your active income as possible into building these passive systems. Think of it as building a machine that will eventually replace your job. The beauty is that you can start this phase today, regardless of your current financial situation. Phase 2 kicks in once your passive income grows to cover about 25 to 30% of your monthly expenses. This is where things get interesting. With this financial foundation in place, you now have leverage to negotiate reduced hours at your current job. Recent studies show that more companies than ever are offering flexible work arrangements, including compressed work weeks or part-time roles. One woman I spoke with, Nicole, approached her employer about working 80% time for 80% pay. She used her newly free day to develop a small consulting business in her field. That one day off made all the difference, she told me. I was less stressed at my main job, and I had dedicated time to build something that was truly mine. If your employer isn't flexible, this might be the time to look for a more accommodating position. The gig economy has created unprecedented opportunities for skilled professionals to find part-time or contract roles that pay well but demand fewer hours. The goal in Phase 2 is to reduce your work commitment while maintaining enough income to cover expenses and continue building passive income streams. Phase 3 represents a significant shift in your work-life balance. At this point, your passive income has grown to cover 50 to 60% of your expenses. This allows you to scale back to working just 2 to 3 days per week, either at your original job, through consulting, or via flexible gig work. The psychological benefits here are profound. As Stephen, who transitioned to a 3-day workweek at 52, described it, "Those 4 days off completely changed my relationship with work. I no longer felt trapped or desperate. Work became something I chose to do, not something I had to do." Research confirms Stephen's experience, showing that gradual retirement transitions lead to lower stress and anxiety levels compared to abrupt retirement. By maintaining some work connection, you preserve valuable social connections while still gaining substantial freedom. With most of your week now free, you can devote significantly more energy to growing your passive income streams or pursuing interests you never had time for previously. Finally, Phase 4 represents what I call true semi-retirement, the sweet spot where passive income covers 75% or more of your expenses. At this stage, work becomes completely optional. You might choose to work on projects that genuinely interest you, or take extended breaks between short-term engagements. The key distinction is that you're working because you want to, not because financial necessity forces you to. One interesting aspect of Phase 4 is that many people discover they actually enjoy some form of productive work once the pressure is removed. A study of semi-retired professionals found that 68% continued some form of paid work, but in ways that aligned with their values and interests. They weren't working to survive, they were working to thrive. The beauty of this phased approach is that each step brings immediate benefits rather than postponing all rewards until some distant retirement date. You'll experience less stress, more autonomy, and increased life satisfaction along the entire journey, not just at the end. Let's talk about how the flexibility of semi-retirement can protect you from market downturns. Traditional retirement planning is actually quite risky. You pick a single date to stop working completely, and if the market crashes right as you retire, like many experienced in 2008 or 2020, your entire plan can be derailed. With semi-retirement, you maintain the ability to adjust your work hours in response to market conditions. If your investments take a temporary hit, you can simply increase your working hours temporarily rather than being forced to sell investments at a loss. This flexibility provides tremendous peace of mind and financial security. The rise of the gig economy has made this approach more viable than ever before. Platforms connecting skilled professionals with project-based work make it easy to find opportunities that fit your desired schedule and pay rate. Whether it's consulting in your field of expertise, freelance work, or seasonal projects, you can essentially create your own part-time job that aligns perfectly with your lifestyle goals. Building multiple passive income streams is critical to making this work. While your Phase 1 might start with a single stream, the goal is to diversify over time. This might include rental property income, dividend stocks, online businesses, royalties, or any number of options that generate money without requiring your constant time and attention. One semi-retiree I interviewed maintains a portfolio of 8 different income streams, none of which would be enough on its own, but together they provide more than enough to fund his lifestyle. "Having multiple streams means I never worry about any single one disappearing," he explained. "If one dries up, the others keep flowing while I develop something new." This approach also offers tremendous psychological benefits compared to traditional retirement. Many retirees struggle with the sudden loss of identity and purpose that comes with completely stopping work. Semi-retirement allows for a gentler transition where you can gradually discover how you want to spend your time when it's truly yours to control. One particularly fascinating benefit: semi-retirees report higher levels of life satisfaction than both full-time workers and traditional retirees. They enjoy the best of both worlds: meaningful engagement without the stress of full-time employment, and substantial freedom without the potential purposelessness of complete retirement. For those with entrepreneurial inclinations, semi-retirement provides the perfect opportunity to explore business ideas with relatively low risk. With your basic expenses covered by passive income, you can approach new ventures with patience and selectivity rather than desperate need for immediate profits. Of course, semi-retirement isn't about doing nothing. It's about having the freedom to choose how you spend your time. Many semi-retirees dedicate more hours to volunteer work, family, creative pursuits, or travel than they do to income-producing activities. The difference is that these choices come from genuine desire rather than financial necessity. Lifestyle optimization. Cut years off your retirement timeline. Here's a truth that's going to change how you look at your retirement journey forever. The math behind lifestyle optimization is so powerful it can literally shave years off your timeline to freedom. While building passive income streams is crucial, there's another side to the equation that can dramatically accelerate your path. For every $100 you permanently cut from your monthly expenses, you need approximately $30,000 less in retirement savings. This isn't about penny pinching or giving up your morning coffee. It's about making strategic decisions that completely transform your financial future. Let's be honest about traditional retirement advice. Almost all of it hammers one point: save more, save more, save more. Financial advisors love to push that savings rate higher, urging you to squeeze every possible dollar into your retirement accounts. Budget tighter. Cut those expenses. Make those sacrifices now. But here's the problem. This singular focus on frugality and savings often leads to burnout and a feeling of constant deprivation. You end up feeling like you're living a restricted life today just to maybe, possibly enjoy freedom decades from now. And that's where most people give up. What if there was a more powerful approach that gets you to freedom faster and improves your quality of life right now? That's exactly what lifestyle optimization is all about. Instead of mindlessly cutting expenses across the board, you strategically redesign your life to eliminate the big costs that don't bring you joy while maximizing the things that truly make you happy. This approach is fundamentally different from traditional budgeting because it focuses on finding your personal enough. What's the lifestyle that would actually make you happy? What expenses in your life are just habit or social expectation rather than sources of genuine satisfaction? The math behind this approach is absolutely mind-blowing. Using the 4% rule, which states you can safely withdraw about 4% of your retirement portfolio annually. Every $100 you permanently eliminate from your monthly expenses reduces your required retirement savings by approximately $30,000. Let that sink in. If you can cut $500 from your monthly expenses through smart lifestyle choices, that's $150,000 less you need to save for retirement. At a modest 7% investment return, that's 5 to 7 years of additional working time eliminated from your life. But where do these savings come from? It's not about clipping coupons or skipping lattes. The real power comes from optimizing your largest expense categories. Housing typically represents 30 to 40% of most people's budgets, making it the single biggest opportunity for impactful change. Moving to a smaller home, relocating to a lower-cost area, or implementing house hacking strategies can dramatically reduce this expense while potentially improving your quality of life. Consider the power of geographic arbitrage. Moving from a high-cost city to a more affordable location can instantly cut your housing costs by 40 to 50%, while potentially giving you better access to nature, less commute time, and a stronger sense of community. That one decision could reduce your retirement timeline by 3 to 5 years all by itself. Transportation is another major opportunity that most people overlook. The average car costs over $10,000 annually when you factor in payments, insurance, gas, and maintenance. Many two-car households could eliminate one vehicle by restructuring their schedules, working remotely, or using alternatives for some trips. That single decision could accelerate your retirement timeline by 2 to 3 years. What makes lifestyle optimization so much more powerful than just saving more is that it works on both ends of the equation simultaneously. When you reduce your expenses, you 1. Free up more money to invest today, accelerating your savings growth. 2. Permanently lower the amount you'll need in retirement. 3. Establish sustainable habits that will serve you throughout retirement. This creates a powerful compounding effect that traditional retirement calculators simply can't account for. They're designed for the old-fashioned approach where your expenses stay relatively constant and you just save until you hit a magic number. Let me share a quick example. Peter and Laura were a couple spending about $6,000 monthly with combined incomes of $120,000. By relocating from their expensive coastal city to a charming small town, they reduced their housing costs by $1,500 per month. They also sold one of their cars since their new location was more walkable, saving another $800 monthly. These two changes alone reduce their monthly expenses by $2,300, which translates to needing $690,000 less for their retirement fund. Instead of needing to work another decade, they found themselves just 3 years from financial independence. But here's the kicker. They report being happier in their new location with a stronger sense of community and less stress. This highlights an important truth that research has consistently shown. Reducing expenses often leads to increased happiness, not less. This seems counterintuitive in our consumer culture, but studies confirm that people who optimize their lifestyles around what truly brings them joy frequently report higher life satisfaction. The reason is simple. By eliminating expenses that don't bring real happiness, like status symbols, excessive living space, or impulse purchases, you free up resources for the things that genuinely matter: meaningful relationships, experiences, creative pursuits, and personal growth. Many millennials are intuitively understanding this concept, which is why they're redefining retirement altogether. Rather than following the old model of working until 65 regardless of happiness, they're building lives that balance financial security with immediate quality of life. The concept of enough is revolutionary in retirement planning. Instead of chasing an arbitrary number, focus on covering your essential expenses through passive income streams. This approach aligns perfectly with the semi-retirement roadmap we discussed earlier. You don't need to replace your entire income, just enough to cover your core needs. Let's get practical. Where should you start with lifestyle optimization? Begin by tracking your spending for 30 days, then rank each expense category by both cost and joy per dollar. The high-cost, low-joy categories are your primary targets. For most people, this exercise reveals surprising insights. You might discover you're spending hundreds each month on subscriptions you rarely use, or thousands on housing space you don't need. Maybe you're commuting 2 hours daily to a job you could do remotely, or maintaining possessions that create more stress than happiness. The beauty of lifestyle optimization is that it's highly personal. There's no one-size-fits-all solution because what brings you joy is unique to you. Some people thrive in a tiny home with minimal possessions, while others need more space, but can easily eliminate other expenses without feeling deprived. Remember too that lifestyle optimization isn't a one-time exercise. As your circumstances and priorities evolve, so too will your definition of enough. The goal isn't extreme frugality. It's intentional spending aligned with your values. This approach to retirement planning feels revolutionary because it challenges the core assumption of consumer culture, that more is always better. Instead, it asks, what's enough for me? What lifestyle would genuinely make me happy? How can I design my life around those answers? By focusing on these questions, you transform retirement planning from a distant, abstract goal into an immediate improvement in your quality of life. Each optimization you make brings dual benefits: more freedom today and an accelerated time manager financial retirement around passion. What if your retirement isn't about escaping work, but about embracing what you truly love? The traditional work until 65, then play golf until you die approach is rapidly becoming obsolete. The shift toward passion-based retirement is transforming how we think about our later years, and Justin's story perfectly captures this revolution. Those dual benefits of lifestyle optimization are powerful, but when combined with passion-driven work, they create something truly transformative. By 2025, nearly 50% of the U.S. workforce will participate in the gig economy, opening unprecedented opportunities for early retirement that looks nothing like what previous generations planned for. Let me introduce you to Justin, whose journey completely shattered conventional retirement timelines. After 18 years climbing the corporate ladder in marketing, Justin found himself approaching his 40s with a 6-figure salary and an increasing sense of emptiness. The corner office and fancy title that once motivated him had lost their shine. Each Monday morning became more difficult than the last, and he began questioning if he could really sustain another 25 years of this lifestyle just to reach that magical retirement age. I remember sitting in yet another 3-hour meeting about marketing strategy, watching everyone pretend to be interested, and thinking, is this really what I want to do with the prime years of my life? Justin recalls, I was making good money, but I was spending the best hours of my day doing things that didn't fulfill me. This realization sparked an unconventional approach to his future. Instead of focusing solely on building a massive retirement nest egg, Justin took a step back and analyzed what actually brought him joy at work. He realized he loved mentoring younger colleagues, solving creative problems, and developing innovative strategies. What drained him? The endless meetings, office politics, and soul-crushing daily commute. Justin's strategy shifted dramatically when he stopped asking, "How can I save enough to quit forever?" and started asking, "How can I redesign work to align with what I love?" This mindset shift changed everything. Rather than pouring all his energy into maxing out his 401k, Justin invested time developing skills that would allow him to work on his own terms. He took on special projects that strengthened his consulting abilities, volunteered to teach workshops that honed his instructional skills, and built relationships with professionals outside his company who might become future clients or collaborators. This approach flies in the face of traditional retirement advice, which typically focuses on accumulating a massive nest egg before making any major life changes. Instead, Justin prioritized skill development alongside financial preparation. At 42, Justin did something that would make most financial advisors faint. He left his secure corporate job with savings that would cover just 3 years of expenses. By conventional standards, he was nowhere near retirement ready. But Justin wasn't pursuing conventional retirement. "Everyone thought I was having a midlife crisis," he laughs. "My parents were particularly worried. They kept asking about my pension and health insurance. But I wasn't quitting work, I was redesigning it around what actually mattered to me." The statistics support Justin's unconventional approach. Research shows that continuing to work in meaningful roles provides significant psychological benefits, including improved mental health and a sense of purpose, crucial factors for a fulfilling retirement. The traditional model of abruptly stopping all productive work often leads to identity crises and depression for many retirees. Today, at 47, Justin's life looks dramatically different. He works about 15 hours per week as a consultant for a few select companies and as an adjunct professor at a local university. These roles leverage his strengths and passions while eliminating the aspects of corporate life that drained him. This flexible arrangement allows him to earn enough to cover his expenses while his investments continue growing untouched. Perhaps more importantly, he reports significantly higher life satisfaction and purpose than during his corporate days. "I'm technically semi-retired by financial independence standards since I don't need to touch my investments," Justin explains. "But I don't really think of myself as retired at all. I'm doing work I love, just on my own schedule, and with people I enjoy." Justin's approach reflects a broader shift in how we view retirement. The binary work/don't work model is giving way to more nuanced approaches that emphasize autonomy and meaningful engagement. This aligns with research showing that 92% of companies that participated in a 4-day workweek pilot program reported improvements in productivity and employee satisfaction. The rising demand for flexible skills, particularly in consulting and teaching, creates unprecedented opportunities for professionals looking to transition to more flexible arrangements. Justin capitalized on this trend by developing skills that were both personally fulfilling and increasingly in demand. The skills that give you the most flexibility in retirement aren't necessarily the ones that make you the most money in a corporate role, Justin advises. Look for abilities that can be packaged as independent services, consulting, teaching, mentoring, creative problem solving. These can provide both income and fulfillment well into your retirement years. This approach aligns with research indicating that continuing to work in meaningful roles provides psychological benefits like improved mental health and a sense of purpose, crucial factors for a fulfilling retirement. The traditional model of abruptly stopping all productive work often leads to identity crises and depression for many retirees. The rise of remote work has further accelerated this trend. When Justin first left his corporate job, he had to work hard to convince clients he could deliver value without being physically present. Today, remote and hybrid arrangements have become standard, making the transition to flexible work significantly easier. 5 years ago, I had to sell potential clients on the idea that I could consult effectively from a distance, Justin says. Now it's just assumed that much of the work will happen remotely. This shift has been a game changer for people pursuing the kind of flexibility I wanted. What makes this approach particularly powerful is that it doesn't require the massive financial reserves traditionally associated with early retirement. By continuing to generate income doing work he enjoys, Justin needs substantially less in investments than someone planning to never work again. Think about it this way. If your essential expenses are $5,000 monthly, traditional retirement planning might suggest you need $1.5 million or more saved before quitting your job. But if you can earn $3,000 monthly doing work you enjoy on a flexible schedule, you might need less than half that amount to make the leap. This math transforms early retirement from a distant dream to an achievable mid-career transition for many professionals. It's not about accumulating enough money to never work again. It's about building skills and relationships that allow you to work differently. Research supports the psychological benefits of this approach as well. Studies consistently show that individuals who maintain purposeful work during traditional retirement years report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction than those who fully disengage from productive activities. The key insight from Justin's journey is that retirement doesn't have to mean stopping work. It can mean redesigning work around your ideal lifestyle and passions. This perspective shift opens possibilities that traditional retirement planning often misses. For professionals considering this path, Justin suggests starting with a thorough inventory of your skills and experiences. The corporate world often puts us in narrow lanes, but most of us have abilities that can be applied in multiple contexts, he advises. Look for the transferable skills that you actually enjoy using. Those are your tickets to freedom. The trend toward flexible work arrangements is further supported by research showing that employees with control over their schedules report higher job satisfaction and lower stress levels. Companies increasingly recognize this reality, making mid-career transitions like Justin's more feasible than ever before. Justin's journey illustrates how individuals can redefine careers by focusing on skills that allow for part-time or consulting roles, which are increasingly in demand in today's job market. His transition wasn't without challenges. He had to learn new skills in marketing himself, setting boundaries with clients, and managing irregular income. But the freedom and fulfillment he's gained have made these adjustments worthwhile. The mental wealth factor. Why psychology trumps savings. While Justin's journey demonstrates how to build a flexible career around your talents, there's something even more fundamental at play here. The invisible force that determines retirement success more powerfully than money might surprise you. It's called mental wealth, and it might completely flip everything you thought you knew about retirement planning. Those with modest savings but strong psychological resources often report greater retirement satisfaction than millionaires lacking purpose and identity beyond their careers. This isn't just anecdotal. It's backed by serious research that most financial advisors never mention in their planning sessions. Traditional retirement planning remains stubbornly fixated on numbers: your savings rate, investment returns, and those endless calculations about how much you'll need to survive. Financial advisors love pulling out charts showing compound interest and withdrawal rates. And while this math matters, it misses something crucial about human happiness. Here's the reality check. Psychological factors often predict retirement satisfaction better than financial metrics. You can have a fat retirement account and be absolutely miserable. Meanwhile, someone with more modest means might be thriving in their post-career life. Why? Because retirement isn't just a financial transition. It's a fundamental psychological one that many people are completely unprepared for. Think about what happens when you retire. Suddenly, you lose your professional identity, your daily structure, your social connections, and your sense of purpose, all at once. For many people, especially those who've wrapped their entire identity around their career, this creates a massive psychological vacuum. This is where mental wealth becomes so critical. What exactly is mental wealth? It's the collection of psychological resources that determine how well you'll adapt to retirement, including your identity beyond work, your relationship with money, your adaptability to change, and your ability to find purpose in this new chapter. Let's break down why this matters more than your 401k balance. First, there's the identity factor. Those with strong work identities experience depression at rates 40% higher in retirement, regardless of how much money they've saved. If your entire self-worth and identity is wrapped up in being a manager, doctor, teacher, or whatever profession you've dedicated decades to, retirement can feel like an existential crisis. You're no longer that person. So who are you now? This is exactly what happened to Tom, a former executive I interviewed. He had over $3 million saved, but spent his first 2 years of retirement in a deep depression because he'd lost his sense of importance and status. Meanwhile, his former colleague with half the savings was thriving because she had developed multiple interests and identities outside work before retiring. Then there's the fascinating concept of money scripts. Those unconscious beliefs about money formed in childhood that silently guide your financial behaviors. These scripts can sabotage your retirement more effectively than any market crash or inflation spike. Do you believe money should always be saved, not spent? You might struggle to actually enjoy your retirement savings. Or maybe you unconsciously think, I don't deserve financial security. So you make self-sabotaging decisions even when you know better. These money scripts operate below conscious awareness until you shine a light on them. Sharon discovered her money is security script was making her miserable in retirement. Despite having plenty saved, she lived in constant anxiety about spending any of it, even for necessities. Her retirement was financially secure but psychologically impoverished until she addressed these deep-rooted beliefs. Perhaps most surprising is how adaptability emerges as one of the strongest predictors of retirement satisfaction. Those who can adjust their spending and lifestyle based on changing circumstances report 60% higher life satisfaction compared to those who remain rigid. Life throws curveballs, especially over a 20 to 30-year retirement period, and your ability to roll with those changes matters enormously. Consider market downturns. Two retirees with identical portfolios might react completely differently. The adaptable retiree adjusts spending temporarily and finds creative ways to enjoy life with less, while the inflexible one spirals into anxiety and resentment when they can't maintain their exact pre-retirement lifestyle. But the most overlooked factor in retirement planning is purpose. Having clear reasons to get up in the morning isn't just nice, it's essential for well-being. Research consistently shows that retirees with purpose experience better health outcomes, lower healthcare costs, and significantly higher happiness levels. This explains why some retirees thrive with modest financial means while others flounder despite millions. Money can buy comfort, but it can't buy meaning. That's something you have to consciously create. Rita, a retired teacher with a modest pension, found purpose through volunteering at an adult literacy program 3 mornings a week. Those mornings give my week structure and meaning, she told me. I feel needed and useful, which is something my retirement account could never provide. What's particularly troubling is how approximately 25% of retirees experience feelings of isolation and loss of identity. These psychological challenges often catch people completely off guard because they've spent decades focused exclusively on the financial aspects of retirement. So how do you build mental wealth alongside your financial wealth? Start by developing interests outside work now, not after you retire. Many successful retirees began exploring hobbies, volunteering, or part-time passion projects years before leaving their main careers. Next, examine your relationship with money. What unconscious scripts might be operating in your financial life? Do you equate net worth with self-worth? Do you use money as a substitute for emotional needs? Understanding these patterns can prevent them from undermining your retirement satisfaction. Work on building adaptability as a skill. This might mean practicing flexibility in small ways now, trying new routines, meeting new people, or developing comfort with uncertainty. Think of it as psychological cross-training for the transitions retirement will bring. Finally, start mapping out potential sources of purpose for your retirement years. What activities make you lose track of time? What causes do you care about? Where could your skills and experience make a meaningful difference? Purpose rarely finds you. You need to actively create it. The good news is that building mental wealth can start right now, regardless of your financial situation. Unlike your investment portfolio, developing psychological resources doesn't require a large starting capital, just intentional effort and awareness. Many financial experts now recommend a gradual transition approach to retirement precisely because it helps build these psychological resources. Working part-time, consulting, or volunteering creates a bridge between full-time work and full retirement, allowing for adjustment to new routines and identities. The most surprising insight? Mental wealth and financial wealth actually reinforce each other. Those with strong psychological resources tend to make better financial decisions in retirement. They're less likely to panic during market dips, make emotional spending decisions, or fall for scams. Meanwhile, financial security creates space to pursue meaningful activities that build purpose and connection. Think of preparing for retirement like building a house. Your financial savings are the foundation and structure, absolutely necessary, but not sufficient. Mental wealth represents the systems that make the house functional and comfortable. The wiring, plumbing, heating, and design
Your
elements
personal
that
independence
transform a
day,
structure into
creating
an
an
action plan. Your house of retirement is taking shape, but here's where most people get stuck. They never set a move-in date. What if instead of the vague someday retirement plan, you could circle an actual personal independence day on your calendar? Not the random age of 65 that some financial guru picked for you, but the specific date when your passive income exceeds your essential expenses, making work completely optional. I bet you've heard people say things like, "I'll retire when I have enough," or "I'm saving for someday." But this fuzzy thinking is exactly what keeps most people stuck in perpetual uncertainty. Without a target date, your retirement becomes this mythical horizon that keeps moving further away the closer you try to get. This uncertainty leads to anxiety and often complete paralysis. You end up doing nothing because the goal seems so abstract and unreachable. Let's fix that right now by creating an actual action plan with a specific date circled on your calendar. This isn't about picking a random birthday to quit your job. It's about using real numbers to determine when you'll hit true financial independence. Step 1 is calculating your enough number. And this is where most people get it completely wrong. Traditional advice says you need to replace your entire income, but that's completely unnecessary. What you actually need is enough passive income to cover just your essential expenses. See the difference? If your monthly essentials are $3,000, but you currently earn $6,000, you don't need to replace that entire $6,000. You just need systems generating that $3,000 automatically. This approach immediately makes financial independence feel more achievable. Suddenly, instead of needing millions sitting in an account, you might discover your freedom number is much more attainable than you thought. Now, here's where the SMART framework really shines in your planning process. Instead of vague aspirations, you need to set specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound objectives. This structure transforms abstract financial goals into concrete steps you can actually take. For instance, rather than saying, "I want to retire early," a SMART goal would be, "I will increase my passive income by $500 monthly within 6 months by developing and launching an online course related to my professional expertise." This level of specificity gives you both direction and a way to measure your progress. The next critical step is identifying your highest leverage action based on the 5-point diagnostic we discussed earlier. Look at your score in each area and find where you have the biggest opportunity for improvement. If you scored low on income diversification, your highest leverage action might be creating your first passive income stream, even if it's just $100 a month to start. If lifestyle optimization is your weak point, focus on reducing one significant expense without reducing your quality of life, like renegotiating your insurance or finding a cheaper cell phone plan. If you're lacking in skill-based flexibility, invest time in learning a marketable skill that could generate income without requiring a full-time commitment. If mental wealth is holding you back, your priority might be addressing your relationship with money or developing greater adaptability. If your financial independence ratio is stuck, your leverage point could be increasing your savings rate to accelerate investment growth. What makes this approach so powerful is how it breaks down a massive goal into actionable steps. Instead of the overwhelming, "I need to save millions," you focus on specific milestones that build momentum. Your action plan should include specific goals for 3 time frames. For your 30-day goals, think small but meaningful actions that create immediate progress. This might be setting up an automatic transfer of $100 to your investment account, taking a free online course to learn a marketable skill, or auditing your expenses to identify one major cost to optimize. Your 90-day goals build on these initial steps. Maybe you're ready to launch that small side business, negotiate reduced hours at work, or eliminate a significant expense from your budget through lifestyle redesign. Your 1-year goals are where the real transformation happens. By this point, you might aim to have your first passive income stream generating consistent monthly revenue, have reduced your essential expenses by 15%, or have developed a skill that allows you to earn income flexibly. What's crucial about this approach is that unlike traditional retirement planning that keeps all benefits locked away until some distant future date, you start experiencing improvements in your life immediately. Each step you take doesn't just move you closer to financial independence. It actually increases your freedom and options right now. This creates powerful psychological wins that keep you motivated, unlike conventional plans that require decades of sacrifice before seeing any benefit. Now, here's the game-changing tool that will transform how you think about retirement planning: the Independence Date Calculator. This isn't just another retirement calculator focused on a big lump sum. It's a dynamic tool that shows exactly how each action moves your freedom date closer. For example, when you input a new passive income stream of $300 monthly, you'll instantly see your Independence Day move closer by perhaps 8 months or a year. Reduce your housing costs by $400 a month? Your date might jump forward by 18 months. This immediate feedback creates a powerful motivation loop. You can literally watch your freedom date approach with each positive action. The beauty of the calculator is that it demonstrates the compounding effect of multiple small improvements. Adding a passive income stream while simultaneously reducing expenses creates a mathematical acceleration that's far more powerful than either action alone. It's like having a GPS for your financial journey that recalculates your arrival time with each improvement. Studies have consistently shown that this approach to setting concrete financial milestones significantly enhances motivation and reduces anxiety compared to vague retirement goals. People with specific targets are far more likely to track their progress regularly and adjust their strategies as needed, resulting in much higher success rates in achieving financial independence. Let's look at a concrete example. When Peter and Laura implemented their financial independence plan, they didn't just focus on maximizing retirement savings. They strategically coordinated their pension and Social Security income with portfolio withdrawals, creating a tax-efficient income strategy that ensured long-term sustainability. By focusing on high-leverage actions and using tools to track their progress, they were able to create a clear roadmap to their personal Independence Day. The most powerful aspect of this approach is that it shifts your focus from distant outcomes to immediate actions. Instead of being paralyzed by the seemingly impossible goal of saving millions, you're energized by the knowledge that today's small action brings your freedom date measurably closer. So what's the immediate action you can take today? Start by calculating your essential expenses, the true baseline of what you need to live. Then identify just one high-leverage action from the 5-point diagnostic that you can implement this week. Maybe it's researching a passive income opportunity, cutting one unnecessary expense, or signing up for a course to develop a marketable skill. This single step does something remarkable. It transforms you from someone who dreams about retirement someday to someone who is actively creating their independence. The momentum from this first action often snowballs into consistent progress that continues to accelerate. So here's what all this retirement talk really comes down to. The future of financial freedom isn't about hitting some magic birthday or account balance. It's about designing systems that work for your life. As we head into 2025, we're seeing a massive shift in how people view retirement. Over half of millennials now prioritize financial independence over arbitrary age milestones like turning 65. With nearly 50% of the workforce expected to participate in the gig economy next year, the old rules just don't apply anymore. Your journey starts with one concrete step today, not someday. The real question isn't when you can quit working forever, but when you can start living on your own terms. With 44% of employees reporting significant workplace stress, the need for personalized retirement solutions has never been greater. Whether you're dealing with inflation concerns or seeking mental wellness, the path to freedom begins with action now. And that path might be short.